Right, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce and welcome Rick Robertson. Give him a round of applause. Come on. I'm so glad you're here today.
I'm so happy for those applause sound effects.
I know, it was great.
Wow.
Just give me a second while I open this thing people call a notebook.
Yes. Well, you don't use professional terms like that.
Yeah, it's terrible.
You throw people off.
How you doing today so far?
Doing good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You enjoying the con?
I love this con.
Yeah, and thank you for meeting up with me earlier. Well, me approaching you out of the blue and talking to you.
I appreciate it. I love to meet you guys.
No, it was a lot of fun. So, first question that I want to start with, if I can read my handwriting.
Why is there no special name for the tops of our feet? That's not the question. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, what initially got you into voice acting?
Ooh, bad luck. I mean, no, I'm kidding. Yeah, a lot of life calamity.
Really?
Pretty much washing out. No, what got me into voice acting, gosh, we're going to have to go back into the Wayback Machine for a moment. I started doing voices when I was like 5 years old.
Okay.
This will tell my age. I was doing John F. Kennedy when I was 5 years old. Anyway, so you got a little 5-year-old running around going, Yes, Mr. Khrushchev, please get your shoe off the table. It's time for some clam chowder and touch football. And so, who knew? But anyway, so I, graduated from there to, voices that you hope girls liked.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you go from there. What happened is my career kind of bottomed out. I became a disc jockey.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was a morning disc jockey for like 20 years.
Okay.
So then one day, one of my friends said, you could be a voiceover. And I said, really? How does that work? And he said, well, this is how much you get paid for a commercial. And I said, well, nobody can make a living on that. And he goes, well, you could if you made 3 a day. I said, oh, that's different. So that sounded pretty good, and really I kind of stumbled into it like that. The man, God love him, God rest his soul, is Bob Magruder. He was one of the best guys ever.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess I've just been fortunate, really.
Really?
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And then you stumble across Dragon Ball Z, which is the greatest character in Dragon Ball Z. And I'm not just saying that because I'm interviewing the man who voices Deborah, but
Deborah himself would say that is the greatest character in the history of Dragon Ball Z.
But yeah, so you stumble upon that. How did that end up panning out as far as like getting the role for it and then prep work for it?
Oh my gosh, you're giving us far more credit than we probably need to have. Well, first of all, I've got a buddy, his name's Chris Sabat, and I was doing some other stuff, commercial stuff, and Chris was doing this stuff.
Yeah.
And he said, I've got a role that I think would really be great for you, and if you have time to do it. And I said, sure, but, at that time, you'd have to drive to Fort Worth.
Yeah.
It didn't pay squat. And so I said, again, I have a couple of young boys, and that might impress them, so, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Didn't, by the way. Did not impress them. And what ended up happening, I love this, is they would get mad at me, and they would download my character and beat the crap out of me, like on the game. And then I thought that's the most passive-aggressive thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's a nice way for kids to get back at you.
That's what I mean. How you feeling, son?
Finish him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Taste my blade,
So you've done video game voice acting as well that I've seen for like Borderlands 2, 3, also a lot of the Dragon Ball Z. What do you feel like as far as like the differences between voice acting for like dubs over an anime versus doing the voices for a video game?
First of all, I would say they're very similar.
Yeah.
Very similar. But I think you can cut loose more on a video game because you are often, how can I put this? You're often sort of constricted by the mouth flaps
Yeah.
that you come across in a Japanese, cartoon or
Yeah.
anime. Okay, so you have to match your mouth with that, and that dictates a lot of what you can say and how you can say it.
Okay.
But if you're in a game and doing that, you're sort of doing these lines wild,
Okay.
and they can make it match you,
Okay.
and that's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
I guess the first one. Have you ever seen the movie Mrs. Doubtfire?
Yes, I have.
Do you remember Robin Williams doing voiceover and he's looking at a big screen and he's matching his mouth with that?
Yes.
That's what that's like.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that, yes.
In video game, it's more like you lock crazy people into a closet and just have them do stuff, So,
Yeah, no.
yeah, it's kind of weird.
Well, there's nothing weird about being locked in a closet and being told to do stuff.
I don't know, is there? You asked him that for me.
No, anyway, yeah. So Chris and I just wanted to kind of make him badass, and so
Yeah.
that's kind of where we went with it.
No, that's awesome. Now, as far as like the inspiration for doing Deborah's voice in Dragon Ball Z, was there any what techniques did you use to kind of come up with that voice?
That was one that just sort of did itself.
Really?
I can't. I don't know how to describe that. Some voices do. You just look at it and you go, "Well, that's the voice that belongs to."
No, that makes sense. Doing a demonic voice.
That's what I'm saying. You just kind of went with the low guttural, kind of like a demon with a chip on his shoulder kind of guy.
Yeah.
And of course, he doesn't have any clue how he's going to end up, and that's kind of weird.
Yeah. So, what is the most challenging part for voice acting for you as far as like anime and video games?
Making money. Yeah, that's probably the most challenging part. Other things too, huh? Okay. I'd say the most challenging part. What is the most challenging part? Say that again. Give me the question one more time.
What's the most challenging part voice acting in anime and video games? As far as also like coming up with the voices for the characters and then anything associated.
See, I could sit here and lie to you guys. Go, oh, this was hard. This was tough.
Yeah.
No, you're having fun, man. You're just kind of screwing around, and it's a lot better time than you would think.
Really?
Well, I mean, if like especially with video games.
Yeah.
If you screw up, you do it again.
Yeah.
Or maybe sometimes what you're really going for is that lightning in a bottle. Where you do something so crazy, so outrageous, you go, that worked.
Yeah. No. That's
Well, you know what I mean. You're kind of swinging for the fences, but yeah, it's not hard. I wish I could.
yeah.
This is tough, but that's like Steve Martin.
Yeah.
You remember he had a song and he goes, people get up in the morning and they go to work at the drugstore to sell flare pins. But the amazing thing to me is I get paid for doing this. So, it's kind of like that.
Yeah. And a lot of that did you bring over from radio?
Well, yeah, a whole lot.
Yeah.
Because radio is also getting locked in a little closet and kind of going nutty. So there's been a lot of that in my life.
Yeah.
Now that I look back on it. Put them in a room and see what happens.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Apparently, you get really good voiceovers.
I will tell you a very funny story about that. When I first got into radio, this was my probably second radio job ever. And there was a guy who was trying to get out of town.
Yeah.
And I had shown up just kind of accidentally. And he saw me as a warm body that could replace him.
Yeah.
He just split. And I really didn't have the credentials to be a morning disc jockey at the station at this market.
Yeah.
So, I was doing it for about 2 weeks. And then the general manager comes in and he says, you're a nice kid, but obviously you're over your skis,
Yeah.
and no hard feelings. So, we'll let you go, but you have about a couple of weeks, And so I went in the next day and I didn't have anything to lose. And so I just went crazy, nuts, said any and everything I could think of, did every voice I could do. At the end of the show, the guy comes to me and he goes, if you can do that every morning, you can stay as long as you want. I said, okay. And so that's how all that kind of started.
And so another question, since voice acting is becoming such a big thing, anime is just blown up. to ridiculous proportions, there's more people wanting to do more voice acting. Is there any advice, tips, or tricks you could give anyone that's aspiring to do something like that?
Move to North Texas.
There you go.
I mean, that's really the aspiring tip or trick, because Crunchyroll is now really just hiring North Texas talent.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, move to North Texas. That would be rule one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after that, you're on your own.
So AI, this is kind of one that I was like questioning whether I should ask, but I do feel it's very important for the voice acting community as a whole. AI is becoming a thing, and they're starting to use it more for voice acting. Do you fear that AI could replace voice actors? Or do you care?
Well, I mean, obviously that's everybody's fear.
Yeah.
You know, I remember having this talk again with Sabbath and you know, basically saying, hey, Chris, AI can't sign a pop. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things AI can't do. They can't interface with the people who enjoy being with you.
Yeah.
You know, there's just a lot. I mean, in terms of the talent, AI's got no feel to it.
Yeah.
They just don't. There's no emotion. I can always tell when something's AI.
Yeah.
Now, eventually they may get emotion as they take over everything.
Yeah.
But who knows?
In the dystopian future where we're all fighting for our lives like Terminator.
Well, that's today.
Yes.
Anyway.
So do you actively watch, for instance, Dragon Ball Z or any of your work that you do?
No.
Really?
No. Oh, well, I mean, why?
For fun.
Well, I mean, it's been done. You've seen it. You know what I mean? Like, why would you do that?
I don't know. I like to watch my videos. I get a kick out of myself. So.
I don't know, man. I've always had a hard time with that. You know, it's like it's like you do it and you do the work and you go and do something else.
Yeah. So it would be silly for me to ask who would win, Deborah or Yamcha, because that seems a little...
Deborah, who?
Yamcha from Dragon Ball Z. The guy that always gets his butt kicked.
Yeah, well... You know, that's kind of like asking somebody from Chicago who would win, Ditka or, you know.
Yeah.
Of course, Deborah would win. You are crazy.
Of course. Now, as far as like you are a part of one of the longest running anime franchises of all time, you know, do you take great pride in that?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No. Again, it's part of what you take great pride in is, you know, it's humble beginnings.
Yeah.
I mean, you know where you started and what the booth looked like and the bank building you went to and, you know, all that stuff. And, of course, now you go and it's, I can't even begin to tell you. I mean, you know, you got studios all the way down a hall and another hall and you've got free everything. And, you know, it's kind of neat. But, boy, back in the day, no. You know,
Really?
you were lucky to have a Coke machine. You know, went in there, you did your thing, and you went home. And again, so yeah, we're real proud of that.
Yeah.
You know, the fact you start out like that and it becomes, you know, something that people want to be a part of and see. And yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And then having the fans come up to you and just talk to you about how Deborah is one of their favorite characters. How does that make you feel?
All I can say is it never gets old.
Really?
It never gets old. I mean, it's like, it's so cool that somebody, you know, life gets affected by that. You know, it's just a neat thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that is always fun to me.
Yeah, one of the things that I actually found out this morning, you were in Red vs. Blue, which is a YouTube animated thing based off of Halo, which is one of my favorite game franchises.
I remember that real well. I was Private Wayne, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
No,
right.
like I found that out this morning. I'm like, oh my God, that's so awesome.
Well, you know, again, Private Wayne is simply a John Wayne impression.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Okay, there's only two kinds of men going to be on this beach. Those that are dead and those that are going to be dead. So we're moving out. Yo! You know, like,
Yeah.
you know, it's crazy. But I love that character. I always will.
Yeah. Sorry. Notebook.
For those
that I didn't
for those
have-
just listening to the audio, he's turned a page. Okay.
Turn the page. What is your favorite voice acting role that you've had in your extensive career?
God, that's tough.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, obviously Deborah.
Deborah.
That's a big one. There's certain people I have played in games. There's certain people like recently I played a guy that I really liked called the chairman in a thing called Bartender Glass of God.
Okay.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
Like I said, the thing I love about anime is, in America, we always have to teach you a lesson.
Yeah.
If it's a show about drinking, and they end up badly at the end.
Yeah.
Not an anime. Drinking is fine. Enjoy. I mean, that's why I love the character. It's unrepentant,
Yeah.
The drinking is good. We like the bar. Anyway, I liked him. It's just various characters. Yeah, they're always fun to play.
Yeah.
I do this. I will say this. I like playing bad guys.
Do you?
I love playing bad guys. I think when I say that, I'm talking about, for example, best example I know would be the Joker in Batman.
Yeah.
The bad guy has to be more likable than the good guy.
Oh, yeah.
And he has to be more interesting than the good guy.
Yeah.
I mean, the good guy loves good, but think about it. The bad guy loves evil, just like the good guy loves good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's into it. I remember like Nicholson approached it from such a different way as Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
But it's two great roles.
Yeah.
Nicholson comes in almost like a parody, and he goes, where does he get those wonderful toys? Right?
Yeah.
And then you have Ledger who comes in and is like, I'm going to cut them up into little pieces, and that's a whole different psycho.
Yeah.
Whole different ball game. And so that's what I mean when, you like to play guys like that.
Yeah.
You like to play guys where you can go different directions with them. And bad guys, you can do that. Good guys generally only have one direction.
Yeah. So, do you have any upcoming roles that you're looking forward to as of right now?
Yeah, but boy, can we not talk about that?
I can't wait to find out.
I can't say a doggone thing. I will say this. I am going to be a voiceover, I think, in an upcoming film with Sean Astin.
Okay.
And it's going to be about, believe it or not, a ring. But anyway, I get to do a lot of video game trailers in this movie.
Yeah.
This is about video games. It should be really cool.
Okay, that sounds awesome.
And I can say that much.
Okay.
But I can't say nothing about anything else.
No, I'm looking forward to seeing what you do in the future, seriously. I'm going to turn it over to the crowd. Anyone want to come up and ask some questions?
I will tell you, too, right now, whoever asks the best question, I will give them a pop at my table.
Come on.
Absolutely free.
Rick, thanks for being here at Gems Day. But
thank you, man.
Question is, we know you've done a lot of Crunchyroll projects and you've been Deborah, but is there any project that you thought, you know what, I could tell this good story? Like, we know you're a big fan of aviation, right? Mm-hmm. Have you thought about doing like an aviation anime or doing something along those lines, like kind of mixing your two passion projects together?
Yeah, but I like writing, but short stuff. I'm just not I've had to write like film stuff, and it's just not as much fun for me. Yeah, I mean, I see where you're coming from with that, but I just like the voices. I like the characters. I like the acting, and I like the writing to be good. And it's most fun when you have some input into that, But as far as writing the whole thing, Yeah.
Thank you.
Good question.
Is there a role you wish you would have gotten that you didn't get?
Everything Chris Sabat has ever had. Yeah, that's it. Great question, though.
Private Wayne is my favorite character from Red vs. Blue. I didn't know that until this morning. You voice acted him. Did you really enjoy voicing him? And how did you get that part, honestly?
That is a really funny story. That's a great question, by the way. No, this guy was looking for a John Wayne. They sent out like this kind of overall casting call, and my agent picked it up, and so I did this, and the director called me, and he goes, you were the best of all those guys doing John Wayne. And he goes, and I said, well, which John Wayne do you want me to do? Do you want me to do a stylized John Wayne or a real John Wayne? And he goes, oh, the stylized. Yeah. But what blew him away is that we could do both. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's so, because even in there's degrees. It's sort of like I heard Timothy Chalamet talking about Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
There's like 5 different degrees of the guy's voice. John Wayne's the same way. But no, that's a great question. But anyway, yeah, so that's kind of why we went with that. Because, that's a very good question, Pilgrim. I really enjoyed it, little lady. You can have a seat.
Hey, I was here last year and I saw that Tony Oliver also did radio. And I was just wondering, how has radio played a role in your voice acting career and building?
Oh, radio was everything. It really was. It was everything. I mean, I have no career without radio. And again, it was because it was an outlet for doing. I think, when you're little and the parents think you're like they're going to punish you, and they go, "We're putting him in timeout." Well, when you're in timeout, you have to use your imagination. You have no toys. You have no nothing. It all has to come out of here or here, right? And so I got in timeout a lot when I was a kid. I don't know why. I just did. And so you develop those things. And then so later on, like I said, when they put you in a little room with a microphone, all that starts to come back, and you're like, I did an entire team show with myself. It was literally called Rick Austin and Mr. Bill, and I was both voices. Because it'd be like 103.7 KTFM here in San Antonio. Shut up, Mr. Rick, I don't want to hear about it. Okay, Mr. Bill's going to do the weather in just a moment. No, I'm not. You're not on strike again, are you? Yes, I am. See. And so you could do that, and you get really weird. You get strange in your head. Yeah, I remember a guy, he was supposed to be like this creative expert, and he was teaching some seminar, and I said, "What do you tell people?" And he goes, "I told them to listen to that little still voice in their head." And I said, "Well, what if you can't get those voices to shut up?" He didn't know what to do with that. But it's true. They don't shut up. That's all I can say, really.
So I have another question for you.
Sure.
As far as all your different roles that you've done, what is like the craziest role or experience you've had while doing either anime or video games?
Oh, what a great question there. There's been so many really weird kind of experiences. I guess the strangest one, for some reason, was a commercial that I had to did when I had to did. I like that. That was good.
Yeah.
Almost English. I did a commercial a long time as a disc jockey for the radio station.
Yeah.
Okay. And for some reason, I had to take a bite of a hamburger and use a French fry as a baseball bat, which was cute until it was like 72 takes. That's a lot of burger. That's a lot of fries, Yeah. And that was a horrible, weird thing. Another time, I was suspended 60 feet in the air by a crane throughout the Jerry Lewis telethon.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was weird. And
Yeah.
just me and excuse me, it was in a van. I was in a van, suspended 60 feet in the air by a crane.
Yeah.
So it's me in this van with a porta potty and a mic, basically. So there you go.
Hello.
Being in the industry, did you make any long-term friends?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, unless you're a complete jerk, most everybody you meet in the industry, you'll be a long-term friend with. You can always tell the guys who aren't long-term friends because they don't have friends. They're hanging out at the con by themselves. Why is that? I don't know. But anyway, I'm just saying, yeah, everybody you meet should be a long-term friend unless you are not that kind of person. But that's a good question. You know what I mean? And again, I got to say, like, how long have I known Elise? I mean, Elise and I go Elise Bowman and I go so far back, it's crazy. I mean, and you just know these people, and certain guys you get closer to than others. And it's always fun too when you go to a con and you see somebody that, you have known and had a relationship with and met and hang out with. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, good question, man. Thanks.
Oh my God, I had a question and now it's gone.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. Oh, there it is.
Here we go.
Now, do you ever feel awkward when you're doing voice acting and you have to just make random noises? I've always wondered that. It's like, reacting to punches or kicks.
I used to say, it was horrible. I used to say when somebody asked me about Deborah, that most of the recording sessions sounded like you were constipated. I was just, you know, I mean, it's you know, think about it. So anyway, I don't know why I can't get that out of my head. Yeah. But yeah, it is weird to do that.
It is.
I mean, there's nothing normal about standing in a room, you know, like you said, making weird noises.
Do you ever just crack yourself up doing it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sure, because like sometimes your voice does things you don't expect it to do.
Yeah.
Real quick story. I'm in 7th grade. I'm a quarterback at the junior high.
Okay.
I am stepping up to the line of scrimmage. I am thinking I'm this great quarterback, right? You know,
Yeah.
and I'm calling my signals. Sit down, you know, like, right? And all of a sudden I go, hut. My voice broke, went way high. They couldn't even run the play for the guys laughing. They had to stop the play. I'll never forget that. But yeah, sometimes your voice just goes a different way, man. It's crazy.
So it's crazy to hear. I'm always curious about like the behind the scenes of like doing stuff like that when you dub anime or video games. Just getting some of that insight, you know, especially, you know, the different noises you have to make.
Well, it is strange. They do a thing. What is it called? I had to do a session the other day, and you have 5 guys in the room together, and you're right. They're just making different noises. Like, you know, like we had to be, I think, soldiers jogging.
Yeah.
Or then we had to be, you know, guys yelling at somebody to bring the boat in. I mean, it was just weird stuff. But yeah. There's a name for that session, by the way. There's a literal name for what it is, and I can't think of what it is right now.
That's unfortunate because I really want to hear the name of that.
If it comes to me, I'll let you know.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I just found out that you were playing in Bartender Glass of God, which I love that anime. I recently watched it like 2 months ago, I think.
Yeah.
But what was your favorite part in acting like that? Like, what was your favorite line?
Oh, wow. I love the part where he, you know, the guy's he's so determined to get that bartender, you know? I don't want to give it away too much what the plot is, but you know what I'm saying? He's so determined. And so when he's being tough with him, you know, I liked that. And if I tell you the other thing I liked, I would really give a massive plot point away, but I think you know what that was. But thanks. That's a great question. That's a good one.
So you like villains more than heroes.
Always.
What is your favorite villain of all time? It could be anything.
Okay. If anything,
Anything.
hands down, Al Swearingen in Deadwood.
Really?
Yes.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Well, it is a show that was on HBO.
Okay.
That was a Western.
Ooh.
And it was really funny because in the actual West, when somebody had a higher position in society, they spoke almost like Shakespeare to them.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. How are you today? And if somebody was not, the language was unbelievable.
Okay.
I mean, it was horrific. And so that's this show.
Yeah.
I mean, and on one side, there's these respectable people. On the other, the language is horrific. Al Swearingen runs a saloon and a bordello.
Yeah.
You know, and he's played by Ian McShane.
Okay.
And it's just, to me, one of the greatest roles I've ever seen. Because you start out thinking this man is the worst human you may have ever seen in your life. And by the end, you're like, oh, God, I hope nothing happens to him. And he's as bad as it gets.
Yeah.
I remember somebody, when I was doing comedy, I used to do stand-up comedy a while back, and somebody gave me some really good advice. It was for radio, too. No matter how many people are listening to you, they can only hear you one at a time.
Okay.
You're never talking more to more than one person, ever. And so there's no reason to put a lot of pressure on yourself to talk to the great masses of people, you know, who might be watching or listening or whatever.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you're going to hear me one at a time, and everybody's going to have their same opinion, whatever that is.
Rick, we know you had a lot of inspiration from John Wayne and whatnot, but is there and you had a lot of characters as kids when you were grounded or whatever, but is there a character that's just in the back of your head that you've been like, I've always wanted to put this on recording somewhere? Like, what is this one voice, this one character that you just wanted to get out of your head and do something with it?
Oh, that's a great question, by the way.
Thank you. Finally.
All right. I think give you a little background on this. The character or the voice that I've been known best for, believe it or not, probably even more than Deborah, is Rodney Dangerfield.
Okay.
I got sued by Rodney Dangerfield for sounding a little too much like, we were doing a Park Inns commercial.
Okay.
And I go, so I'm leaving Park Inns, a little respect, a little dignity, and about 12 of these little bars of soap. Here, have one on me. So at the end, the guy comes back and he goes, celebrity voice impersonated. And I go, really? That guy's not a real announcer? He sounded so good, I can't believe it. And so they sued us for making fun of the tag. Right. I know. That's a character I enjoyed. But the one I bottled, the one I have never really been able to use like I would like, is a character called Willard Wingnut.
Okay.
And he just talks like this. He's smart. Don't think he's stupid or nothing, but he talks like this. And so he might say any crazy thing come in his mind, but he gonna talk like this. And so that's kind of Willard, man. He's just weird.
Yeah. No, I like that. All right.
But that's been one, like I said, that's sort of bottled up that I would like to do something with.
You should. You should do something with it.
I should. That's what I mean. How I'm not doing oil commercials, I have no idea. What do you call this? A dipstick? I've never seen one before, except in the mirror.
All right. Best Arnold Schwarzenegger impression.
There's no way I would do that. You're crazy. You're like a little girl, aren't you?
Listen, man, this was fun. Thank you for being here with me today. Thank you, the audience, for joining us. Give it up. Come on, Rick Robertson. Seriously, this was a blast.
You guys are great. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. And if you like what you see here, maybe give me a subscribe, maybe a notification bell ring. All right, go away.